Hey guys, my name is Frankie and welcome to another episode of Basically History. I know it's been a while and it's kind of been a while for me because when I made this video it wasn't really the best I could do. I just went to a random room, got my mic and started recording. I didn't realize that there was going to be an echo and I didn't realize that I was going to have some external interference with the recording, so yeah, there's that. Just want to say that now before you realize why is this video so bad compared. I mean, it's bad to begin with, but come on. It was bad to begin with, but come on. So, yeah, I hope you enjoy the video. The Second Opium War, a war that's very similar to the First Opium War, but with a few tweaks and higher stakes. If you didn't watch my first Opium War videos, here's a recap. The British Empire was in the middle of a trade deficit with China, so the British decided to trade illegal drugs to try to counter this. But the Chinese didn't really like that since now they're losing silver, and, the drugs were illegal, shockingly. So the Chinese burned those illegal drugs, and the British evacuated to a small island near the mainland. But after they were attacked by the Chinese, they went to war. Battles took place in Canton, Xiamen, Chusan, Xinjiang, etc. In the end, the more modernized British won the war. They gained £21 million, as well as the island of Hong Kong. The war ended with the Treaty of Nanjing, and in that treaty, there's an article stating that if China negotiated with another country about something that was not mentioned in the Treaty of Nanjing, the British Empire would get those benefits as well. So in 1844, China had a treaty with the United States, which basically allowed renegotiation after 12 years. So the British did the same thing automatically. In 1854, this happened. Hey China! This guy again? What now? Let's renegotiate terms. Why? Because we want more from you. I gave you everything I could possibly give you. What else can I give you? I have a list right here with all the terms, including opening up all of your territory to British merchant companies and legalizing opium trade. Okay, let's just take a step back for a moment. This is way too extreme. I don't care. You have to follow these terms whether you like it or not. All you have done was disobey my trade regulations and bully me. Oh, and what are you going to do about it? I'm not following these terms. Oh, really? Yeah. Now get out of here. Oh, we'll see about that. With every war, there is a fundamental reason and a trigger reason. The British had their fundamental reason, but not their trigger reason. 2 years later, they had their reason. Chinese Marines have seized a cargo ship called the Arrow and arrested 12 men that were on that ship. The Arrow used to be a pirate ship that was captured by the Chinese and later resold by the British. So the Chinese arrested the men on a British ship. Thomas Kennedy, the ship's captain, reported that the Chinese were taking down the British flag. The British consul in Canton, Henry Parkes, contacted Ye Ming-chen, the Qing Imperial Commissioner. Parkes expected the release of the crew and an apology for taking down the British flag. And you want to know what happened? Nothing. Ye Ming-chen said nothing. Ye Ming-chen would be known as the sixth no governor. He would not fight, he would not make peace, he would not defend, he would not die, he would not surrender, he would not flee. Basically, he didn't want to make decisions. He would release 9 out of the 12 imprisoned crew members, but that means that 3 are still imprisoned. So the British declared war on the Chinese for the second time in 20 years. October 23rd, 1856. British Admiral Michael Seymour had 3 battleships trying to enter the Pearl River. Ye Ming-chen, not learning from the last war, thought that the British fleet was just trying to threaten the Chinese and they'll eventually retreat. So he ordered the Chinese to hold back and to not fire. However, on the following day, the British began bombardment against defense lines in Canton. By the 26th, Ye Ming-chen stopped all trade with the British and began mobilizing farmers to protect the city. On the 29th, British troops invaded the city, but Ye Ming-chen wasn't in the governor house, so the British troops had to retreat. And just like last time, the Chinese considered this a Chinese victory. In March of the following year, the British Parliament decided to add more funding and provide more troops to their front lines. The Prime Minister, Palmerston, yes, that guy, sent special commissioners to China, as well as gained troops from Singapore and East India, with a total of 2.9 thousand troops. In April, the British Empire asked Russia and the United States if they were interested in an alliance. Russia had just came out of the Crimean War and tensions were soured on those fronts. And the US, well, I think we've talked about the US enough. Unfortunately for the British, those 2.9 thousand troops would never make it to China. You see, troubles were brewing in the Indian subcontinent. Revolutions were springing up in India, and the British had to control that before dealing with the Chinese. And if you think about it, that makes sense. You can't fight a foreign empire if your own empire is crumbling. From 1856 to 1857, there was no conflict. During that period of time, another nation joined the war, the Second French Empire. When I talked about the Franco-Prussian War last year, I mentioned how France went back and forth between monarchy and republic. This whole debacle started after the American Revolution and the subsequent collapse of the French Empire in the French Revolution. But back to the Second Opium War. This is Augusta... Hold on a sec. Anyway, Augusta was a priest for the Catholic Church in France. In 1851, he joined the Institute of Foreign Missions and joined the Catholic Mission to China in April of the following year. I mentioned in the last video about the Taiping Rebellion, a rebellion that would wreak havoc over China for about 21 years. When the Catholic missionaries arrived in China, the Taiping Rebellion were at their heyday and were also very suspicious of these Catholic missionaries. Things didn't get better while he was in China. He would be arrested in the Guangxi province. He would be accused for insurrection. In his final days, he would be beaten up, and he would be hanged on February 29th, 1856. In July of that same year, the Charge d'Affaires de Corse sent this to Ye Ming-chen. La captivité de Monsieur Chapdelaine, les tortures qu'il a subies sont cruelles. Les violons qu'on a fait à son cadavre constituent noble commissaire impérial. Une flagrante et odieuse violation des engagements solennels qu'il a consacrés. Votre gouvernement doit donc une éclatante réparation à la France. Vous n'hésiterez pas à me l'accorder plein et entière. C'est avéré qu'il appartient naturellement de proposer les terms. Ye Ming-chen responded to this letter by pointing out that Chapdelaine broke Chinese law by preaching Christianity. When Britain declared war on China, France was still neutral. Talks continued into 1857 until December, when those talks went nowhere and the French were kind of getting more ticked off. So by late 1857, when the British were done with their debacle in India, they got an alliance with France, making it the second time after the Crimean War when France and the UK were allies. With some help from the US and Russia, the Allies were ready to take down the Chinese. Again, just like last time, the British, with their French allies, decided to attack Canton again. Allied ships surrounded the city and sent an ultimatum to Ye Ming-chen, saying that they will bombard Canton if he doesn't release the remaining Aero crew members in 24 hours. So the clock ticks, and, well, here you go. Thanks. Well, see ya. Wait, aren't you going to apologize? No? You serious? Yes. Send the troops! Canton would be captured on New Year's of 1858. There would be casualties on both sides, and Ye Ming-chen would be captured and then exiled to Calcutta. Oof. So yeah, things aren't looking well for the Qing government. And as we'll see next time, it's about to get much, much worse.